In the remote corners of the world, there are tribes whose cultures have remained largely untouched by modern civilization. From warriors armed with poison-tipped arrows to tribes that fight to protect their sacred lands, these indigenous groups are as dangerous as they are misunderstood. Today, we're diving into the world of 20 of the most formidable tribes on Earth. The Yanomami, known for their fierce defense of their territory, the Shuar with their chilling, head-shrinking rituals, and the Caiapo, warriors of the Amazon. Yanomami tribe. At number 20 is the Yanomami tribe. Residing in the border areas between Venezuela and Brazil, these people are famous for their warrior culture, known to engage in fierce, intertribal conflicts. Yanomami people are labeled as dangerous and hostile, partly due to cultural practices that might seem brutal to outsiders. One such practice is endocannibalism, where they consume the ashes of their deceased loved ones. While this may seem barbaric to many, they do it in a funerary rite to honor the dead and keep their spirit within the family. The danger associated with them is also partly because they are adept with bows, arrows, and poison-tipped weapons used for protection. You see, they have to fight for their survival as external threats endanger their ancestral lands, culture, and way of life. Today, the Yanomami face an existential crisis due to a surge of illegal gold miners or garimperos invading their protected territory. The presence of the garimperos has disrupted the traditional diet of the Yanomami, leading to malnutrition as their dependence on imported foods, which is far less nutritious, increases. An increase in cases of the disease has been seen over the years as stagnant pools of water left after mining served as breeding grounds, so no wonder they're protective of the land. The Kubo, or club-wielding people, the 19th tribe resides in the dense and remote Javari Basin of Brazil. The Kubo, known locally as the club-wielders, or calceteiros. This isolated tribe is often seen as scary, maybe because they use big, heavy wooden clubs. The Kubo are known for their strong fight against outsiders. They have fought hard against anyone trying to reach them, including settlers, rubber workers, and even the Brazilian government. Even government employees from Funai have fallen victim to the tribe's wrath. At least 33 fatalities have been recorded over the decades. For outsiders, crossing into Kubo land can mean more than a scare. One particularly shocking incident involved their encounter with another isolated tribe, the Matis. The conflict between the two groups turned extremely violent in 2014, and a total of approximately 10 deaths were associated with this conflict in both tribes. Even though they seem scary, the Kubo are also victims. Armed settlers and illegal miners have taken over their land. They use guns to grab territory and resources. The Kubo, with just clubs and spears, cannot fight back well. And so many times their bodies have been found near rivers or on beaches. Some say that the Kubo's anger means people should stay away. Others think that contact, while risky, might be the only way to save the Kubo's way of life in a fast-changing world. The Matis, or Jaguar people. This tribe also resides in Javari Valley in Brazil, which is home to quite a few indigenous communities. The Matis tribe is popular for its unique customs and strong connection to jungles and rivers. Let's dig a little deeper into this tribe. The first known contact with the Matis was in 1969, when Brazilian authorities and rubber tapper settlements began to push further into the Amazon. However, before this, the Matis had lived in near-total isolation. The Matis have a deeply spiritual connection with the forest. For them, the jungle is not just a home. It provides everything they need: food, medicine, shelter, and spiritual guidance. Their hunting skills are legendary, as they use blowguns with curare poison to bring down prey, including larger animals. This combination of body modification and hunting prowess has contributed to an intense and somewhat mysterious reputation. From having once lived in isolation from the outside world, today, the Matis find themselves in the middle of complicated negotiations with the Brazilian government and NGOs regarding the protection of their land. Organizations such as FUNAI, the National Indian Foundation, have fought to defend the Matis' territory and advocate for their rights. The Matis have become more open to the outside world in recent years, allowing for limited contact. To aid them in facing at least the modern world without losing their traditional ways, health and education programs were established. Still, the tribe is wary, and many live in more traditional ways away from outside influence. While they are defensive and protective of their land, especially from threats, they are not hostile or violent per se. Their reputation comes from a history of isolation, past trauma, and a strong desire to maintain their traditional way of life. The Matis are no different from many indigenous peoples. All they want is to be left in peace, to protect their culture and land. The Awa, or invisible people. Up next, the 17th tribe we have is the world's most endangered tribe in northeastern Brazil. The Awa are semi-nomadic hunter-gatherers with a deep bond to the rainforest. Long considered one of the most capable of disappearing into their surroundings, giving them the aura of being practically invisible or ghostly. They have a population of around 600 people and live in the Amazon rainforest along the border between Brazil and Peru. They are nomadic hunter-gatherers, which means they move through the jungle in search of food, shelter, and safety. Their lifestyle makes them highly adaptable, but also extremely vulnerable to the encroachment of illegal loggers and the devastation of wildfires. Their children are taught from an early age the ancient arts of survival. They teach them to manufacture their bows and arrows and train them in the skills necessary for hunting, giving them the image of one of the scariest tribes in the world. But it is their incredible knowledge of the jungle, their survival instincts, and their ability to protect the people that have kept them alive against the odds. The Shuar, Javaro. Deep in Ecuador and Peru, most dangerous tribe, the Shuar, known for their ancient traditions, fierce warriors, and unique way of life. They have a long history and are known for their combat skills and their fascinating past with head shrinking, also known as tsansa. They gained their reputation for their head-shrinking rituals. This was traditionally done to capture the spirit of an enemy and ensure their defeat in battle. The Shuar were fiercely independent and have fought off both colonial and modern intruders for generations. While the violent practices of head shrinking have mostly ceased, one thing that is still very alive is the warrior culture of the tribe. Interestingly, many Shuar also serve in the Ecuadorian army. They have a reputation for being elite soldiers. These soldiers are known for their remarkable combat skills and fierce loyalty. The Munduruku. On number 15 is the Munduruku tribe, named after the word for red ants. In a language their enemies used has been fighting off invaders for centuries, both those from foreign lands and those from their government. Traditionally referred to as the beheaders, due to their brutal methods of warfare, the Munduruku were feared because of their fierce combat with their rivals. For centuries, the Munduruku have lived in the Tapajos region, an area rich with natural resources and the beating heart of the Amazon rainforest. But the relentless advance of hydroelectric dams logging, and illegal mining threatens everything they hold dear. The real battle for the Munduruku has now shifted from the battlefield to the courts, where they now fight for their survival and the future of the forest that sustains them. The Tupinamba, the 14th tribe that we're covering today, is located in the coastal Amazon of Brazil. The Tupinamba. Just this year, Brazil has formally accepted the return of a sacred cloak made by indigenous people of Tupinamba after it spent centuries in Europe. This cloak, crafted from 4,000 scarlet ibis feathers, is a powerful symbol of the indigenous cultures. The cloak's journey reflects the tumultuous history of colonization, when many sacred objects, such as this one, were taken from their rightful owners. Once among the most powerful and feared tribes in the Amazon, the Tupinamba earned a reputation that left 16th century Portuguese colonizers trembling. Why did they bear such a fearsome reputation? It was not simply due to their prowess with weapons, which included spears, blowguns, clubs, and machetes. Neither was it because of the constant battles they waged with success brought about by strategy. What truly made the outsiders show terror was their cultural practice, following battle, ritualistic cannibalism. Their wars were not about territory or treasure. Quite the contrary, they fought for one thing above all: to protect their honor and thereby maintain their spiritual order, and secondarily, to take captives who would become the centerpiece of their ritual feasts. The Tupinamba, the 14th tribe that we're covering today, is located in the coastal Amazon of Brazil. The Tupinamba. Just this year, Brazil has formally accepted the return of a sacred cloak made by indigenous people of Tupinamba after it spent centuries in Europe. This cloak, crafted from 4,000 scarlet ibis feathers, is a powerful symbol of the indigenous cultures. The cloak's journey reflects the tumultuous history of colonization, when many sacred objects, such as this one, were taken from their rightful owners. Once among the most powerful and feared tribes in the Amazon, the Tupinamba earned a reputation that left 16th century Portuguese colonizers trembling. Why did they bear such a fearsome reputation? It was not simply due to their prowess with weapons, which included spears, blowguns, clubs, and machetes. Neither was it because of the constant battles they waged with success brought about by strategy. What truly made the outsiders show terror was their cultural practice, following battle, ritualistic cannibalism. Their wars were not about territory or treasure. Quite the contrary, they fought for one thing above all: to protect their honor and thereby maintain their spiritual order, and secondarily, to take captives who would become the centerpiece of their ritual feasts. Ayoreo tribe. All right, adventurers, let me ask you something. What would you do if you lived in a forest so vast, so wild, that it felt like the outside world didn't even exist? Sounds peaceful, right? Now imagine that peace is constantly under threat by outsiders. That's the reality for the Ayoreo tribe, our 13th most dangerous tribe of the Amazon. Deep in the Chaco region of Paraguay and Bolivia, the Ayoreo have mastered survival in one of the most challenging environments on Earth. We're talking scorching heat, dense forest, and wildlife that could probably win in a game of hide and seek. But here's the catch. This tribe doesn't just survive, they thrive, and they've done it by staying as far away from the rest of us as humanly possible. Unfortunately, that's getting harder by the day. Because guess what? The outside world just can't leave well enough alone. It's like the Chaco has a neon sign saying, "Destroy me for profit." But the Ayoreo aren't going down without a fight. These people are fierce. When outsiders encroach on their land, they push back hard, sometimes with bows and arrows. Missionary groups have also tried to make contact, hoping to help, but those encounters often end in tragedy. Disease, conflict, cultural erosion, it's a lose-lose for everyone. The truth is, their isolation isn't just a choice for them, it's survival. These lands are their lifeblood, their history, their everything. The Caiapo. Hiding deep in the heart of Brazil's central Amazon, the Caiapo, our 12th tribe, have held a reputation as one of the most formidable tribes in the Amazon because of their warrior traditions and firm defense of their territory. What makes them formidable, however, is that they are driven without restraint in defending their ancestral lands. The Caiapo have fought off illegal loggers, land grabbers, and even government forces whenever their territory has been under threat. The Caiapo fighting spirit is dramatized through bold traditions, intricate body painting, fearsome feathered headdresses, and intimidating warlike dance all signal clearly, keep out. But the Caiapo are more than just warriors. They are a deeply spiritual people, connected with a rainforest that nourishes them. While they are certainly known for the confrontational protests, the Caiapo also understand the power of diplomacy. They have worked with NGOs and international organizations to advocate for indigenous rights, to protect the rainforest. But when diplomacy fails, they're not afraid to fight. The Caiapo are guardians of the Amazon people, integrally connected to their land, and they will stop at nothing to protect their culture. As their message is put, touching the rainforest or their culture will be your biggest mistake. Caribs. On number 11, we have Caribs. Deep in the heart of the Caribbean, among the lush jungles and towering coastal cliffs, lies a tribe known for their fierce resistance against colonial invaders. The Caribs, also known as the Kalinago. When Europeans first set foot on these islands, they were not just struck by the beauty of it all. They were actually faced with something rather more daunting. The Caribs had a certain reputation attached to them and were considered very dangerous. The Caribs were masters of the sea, and their dugout canoes weren't just for fishing. They used them to strike fast and strike hard. They used their mobility to launch surprise raids on European invaders. Their attacks weren't on the water alone. The Caribs were fearsome combatants with poisoned darts and edged tools of bone, stone, and wood. Swift raids and brutal tactics, and they could raise defenders against their lands. Spanish, French, and British colonizers quickly learned that the Caribs would not be easily subdued. When they fought to win. And if the battles weren't terrifying enough to outsiders, then the added myth of cannibalism was. The idea of cannibalism was one that the Europeans fabricated about the Caribs because of misunderstandings of the Caribs' practices. They used the practice as an excuse to dehumanize the Caribs. These Caribs, who early European explorers once feared, still exist today, mostly in the Caribbean and parts of Central and South America. While colonization and displacement reduced their numbers, many descendants of the Caribs still exhibit a strong cultural identity, especially in Dominica, St. Vincent, and areas of Venezuela. The Kalinago people of Dominica, for example, are descendants of the Caribs and still preserve their language and culture. Centuries of oppression have not weakened the Caribs, who celebrate their heritage in stories, handmade crafts, and cultural festivals that keep their memory alive. Sentinelese. Up next on number 10, we have Sentinelese. On North Sentinel Island, one of the most isolated places on Earth, lives the Sentinelese tribe, a group known for their fierce hostility toward outsiders. The Sentinelese are considered one of the world's most dangerous tribes. For centuries, this isolated group has fiercely defended their land, driving off anyone who dares to come too close. Using bows, arrows and spears, the Sentinelese make it clear their island is off-limits. The Indian government has gone to an extreme, declaring the island strictly off-limits as a means of ensuring both survival and autonomy for the tribe. Even researchers and authorities are barred from making contact in a bid to protect both the Sentinelese and anyone who might attempt to approach. In 2006, 2 fishermen who had drifted too close to the island were killed. In 2018, John Allen Chow, an American missionary, attempted to make contact. His mission ended in tragedy when he was killed almost immediately upon setting foot upon their shores. But why are the Sentinelese so hostile? It is their fierce isolation that has kept them protected from diseases that could devastate their small population. Contact with outsiders could bring illnesses they have no immunity against, making their aggression a form of survival. For the Sentinelese, their island is more than just home. It's sacred ground, and their culture and traditions are worth defending at all costs. Papuan tribes. On number 9, we have the Papuan tribes of New Guinea, particularly the indigenous groups from the rugged interior regions, who are often considered some of the most isolated and traditional people on Earth. Probably the best-known Papuan tribe is the Korowai, who have acquired a highly feared reputation due to their cannibalistic practices based on beliefs in ancestral spirits. This practice, however, has reportedly declined in recent years due to outside influences. The other highly representative tribe is that of the Asmat people. In the Asmat, headhunting was never brutal, but something very spiritual. The taking of an enemy's head is believed to raise the spiritual strength of the whole tribe and continue to bring in further prosperity. These expeditions are a rite of passage for young warriors who would like to prove their bravery and seek a proper place in the community. Many Papuan tribes, including the Dani, the Yali, and the Lani, also engage in traditional warfare. These groups historically used spears, arrows, and bows in battle, often fighting over land disputes or revenge. The isolation of these tribes has been their greatest defense. The Papuan tribes have used their terrain to their advantage, making it nearly impossible for outsiders to penetrate their strongholds. Mashco Piro. On number 8, we have the Mashco Piro tribe, which is one indigenous tribe native to the Amazon rainforest, from the Peruvian part of it. Hidden away from the modern world, they have chosen a path to be in isolation, keeping intact a way of life, which time hasn't touched. For most of the 21st century, the Mashco Piro have remained uncontacted, choosing to live in the dense jungle, where they engage in traditional hunting, gathering, and fishing. Their interactions with outsiders have been rare and often tense. When they have been encountered, it is typically in the form of brief, sometimes hostile meetings, as the tribe is known to be extremely protective of their way of life and territory. But their isolation hasn't shielded them from the outside world's encroachment. They have also been forced to search for food in areas farther away from their home due to waterlogging and deforestation. In recent years, miners, loggers, and settlers have ventured deeper into their territory, triggering a rise in tense and often violent encounters. The Mashco Piro don't take kindly to trespassers, so it's safe to say they are a dangerous tribe if they perceive you as a threat. Mursi. Up next, the 7th tribe that we're covering today is the Mursi. Welcome to the Omo Valley in Ethiopia. Here, we find the Mursi tribe. The Mursi women are famous all over the world for their lip plates, or donga. This may seem a bit unusual and extreme to outsiders, but to them, it is a badge of honor, a sign of beauty and strength, and an indicator of the status a woman holds in their society. Their traditional way of life, deeply tied to the land, has sustained them for generations. But tourism development projects, and even government policies are threatening the delicate balance of their existence. Despite it all, the Mursi are resisting. Their rituals, their dances, their ceremonies, they're more than traditions, they're acts of resistance. The Mursi are not inherently dangerous. However, history and way of life have dictated their fierce protection. These people have been defending their land, culture, and traditions for many generations, and they do not take kindly to outsiders failing to respect this. Palawan. Somewhere deeply buried within the jungles of the Palawan region in the Philippines lives a tribe who has fiercely resisted invaders. The Palawan tribe, our sixth tribe. Centuries long, the Palawan have thrived in perhaps one of the most challenging environments on Earth. The dense, tangled forests and remote islands that separate the Sulu Sea from the South China Sea. The Palawan tribe was never a stranger to hostile resistance during the days of colonization, and the Spanish, amongst other foreign powers, learned through bitter experience that these were not people that would easily be brought to heel. Using guerrilla warfare, ambushes, and the land to their advantage, the tribe in Palawan became the stuff of nightmares for invaders. Even today, the new Palawan tribespeople are still resisting outside interference and fiercely protecting their traditions, land, and way of life from modern government policies and outside influences with a level of resistance. Suri. Up next, we have the Suri tribe, which is one of the most independent and warlike communities in Ethiopia. For its customs, Suri tribes have carved a certain reputation far beyond that. Close neighbors of the Mursi tribe, it's not a surprise that they share many traditions, and one such tradition is women having lip plates. The Suri are not unfamiliar with violence. Ritual combat is an important part of their society. There are no boardrooms for fighting disputes. Spears, sticks, and clanging traditions do the talking. Young warriors must earn their place in the tribe through duels to the death, a test of strength, courage, and honor. It is a matter not just of pride, but of the very survival of their way of life. For the Suri, the relationship to cattle is not strictly economic, but symbolic. Cattle are wealth. They are honor. Suri people do not really eat cattle, but it can be sacrificed for ceremonial reasons. The blood of cattle can only be consumed by Suri man. If someone takes away from the Suri, the consequences are severe. They challenge the tribe's identity. And how will this transgression be punished? Violence, retaliation. To the rest of the world, they may be dangerous, but to the Suri, they are only surviving with the only way they know, which is to fight. Kawahiva. Deep in the heart of the Amazon, in one of the most remote corners of the world, lies the land of the Kawahiva tribe, which happens to be number 4 on our list today. The Kawahiva are one of the last truly uncontacted tribes in Brazil, dwelling in the state of Maranhão, far from civilization and untouched by modern life. But don't let the silence of the jungle fool you. When it comes to defending their territory, the Kawahiva are fierce, using everything from arrows to spears to ward off those who dare to intrude. Experiences with the Kawahiva are never friendly. They have had enough of outsiders, be it from government officials down to tourists and researchers, and when threatened, it strikes in bloody force. Yet with the reputation for hostility comes a grim reality that most dangerous people cross, not because they embrace violence, but because they would stop at nothing to maintain their independence and lifestyle. Asaro. The third tribe that we're covering today resides in the highlands of Papua New Guinea, where mist clings to the peaks and the jungle holds secrets that have withstood the passage of time. Here lives the Asaro tribe, a people whose reputation is as fearsome as the land they inhabit, the Mudmen. This is what the Asaro are most famous for. These amazing costumes as mudmen, made from clay, mud, and other natural materials, turn the warriors into ghostly figures that must have been somewhat fearsome to enemies. Coated in mud and with ghostly masks concealing their faces, the mudmen of the Asaro tribe were more than just a fearsome spectacle. In the throes of battle, the sight of these terrifying figures emerging from the swamps or forests was enough to send shockwaves of terror through their enemies. Ambushes, sudden appearances, intimidation, these were their strategies. Not merely warriors, but ghostly spirits were in the eyes of those opposing them, and fear was as much a weapon as was the spear. The Asaro used to have some very violent territorial disputes in the past and had to fight for their land against all neighboring tribes. The tribe no longer engages in the kind of violent conflict they once did. The defensive nature, however, has never changed. When their land or their people are at stake, they strike with the same ferocity they have always known. Batak. Up next, number 2, is the Batak tribe. The jungles of North Sumatra host a tribe whose history is as fierce as the land it inhabits. The Batak people, whose legacy stands out for its rendition in warrior culture and ancient traditions, makes them one of the most formidable tribes in Southeast Asia. Traditionally, the Batak had been a race of formidable warriors, defending their motherland against invading forces, rival tribesmen, and other enemies. With kris, spears in hand, and unyielding determination, the Batak fought for their sovereignty, no matter the price. Centuries ago, the Batak were legendary in military tactics, masters of hand-to-hand combat and guerrilla warfare. They would attack without warning and do so decisively in defense of their land with brutal force. Ritualistic cannibalism is one of those historical traditions that seem especially unsettling to outsiders. In times of war, the flesh of a defeated foe was consumed based on proving power and dominance, and ensuring the spirit of the vanquished would never return, making them a tribe feared by most. Maasai. Last, but certainly not least, we have Maasai. In the heart of East Africa, amid the vast plains of Kenya and Tanzania, lives a tribe whose warriors have long been feared and revered, the Maasai. The Maasai people are most famous for their warrior culture, initiated at a young age. The young men are initiated into a sacred rite of passage called Adumu, or the jumping dance. It is one showing strength, agility, and endurance. It is this that qualified them into the Morani, the cream of warriors who have the responsibility to protect the territory, cattle, and people. It is through this that the name Maasai became synonymous with ruthlessness. No mercy was shown to anybody who dared to interfere with their territory or sources of livelihood. Indeed, it is not only their combat skills that make the Maasai formidable, it is also in appearance. Brilliantly attired in red, carrying shields, and with the ornate body adornments, the Maasai warriors come as a frightening spectacle. They are considered one of the most feared and respected tribes in the world. And that's a wrap on today's journey through some of the world's most dangerous tribes. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below. Which tribe do you think we missed out on? See you in the next one.